What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Thursday NBA slate, and I got both my guys with me. AC, the analytics capper, Albert Wynn, and of course, you know the man, J Money is Money. We are presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Go download the Action Network app. You know the deal. We give the play, we give the cap, we get you guys out of here in a hurry. AC, Albert Wynn, give me your best bet for the Thursday NBA slate.
We're going to dive into the murky waters. Give me the Washington Wizards first half plus 5.5.
J Money is Money. Thursday, best bet NBA slate. What you got?
Give me the Mavs minus 13.5.
I'm gonna go Pelicans money line minus 120. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's get the spicy one out of the way first. We talk about it. AC always goes into the murky waters, and he is going to Washington, D.C. to back the Wizards in the first two frames here versus the Sacramento Kings. Why are you looking at this? Is it purely off the Kings coming off the back-to-back? Because this is about as murky as it gets, especially this time of the year.
Yeah, it's a little bit about the Kings' second night of back-to-back. They are playing in Canada tonight, so they have to travel across the borders. All that is, everybody knows. But I think it's a great spot for Washington. It's hard to always back the best team or the better team, right? So you kind of find spots with these really bad teams. Washington Wizards arguably is the worst team in the NBA. They're only 4-28 at home, so I don't want to deal with them. If I like them, I don't want to deal with them for the full game. I don't want that fourth quarter weird. There was a time where I was on the Wizards a couple of weeks ago against the Jazz. They were up all game, and then they got outscored like 20-4 in the final minutes of the fourth. So I'm not going to deal with that. I like them in the first half only. I think it's a good spot for them. We know they don't play defense, but guess what? Sacramento doesn't play defense as well. So I think it's going to be a run and gun up and down. If they're hitting their threes, watch for Washington, outside chance of winning that first half money line, to be honest.
Hey, I didn't know this. Washington Wizards 35-32 ATS against the spread in the first half. At home, the Washington Wizards 16-14-2 ATS in the first half. Their last 10, the Washington Wizards at home are 7-2-1 in the first half, and that's where they'll be playing the Sacramento Kings. I agree with you, AC. The more time the Wizards are on the floor, it can only go one way, and that's worse. So if you are going to back a team like that, you might as well back it for 24 minutes instead of 48. J Money is Money. Before we hopped on, for those who don't know, I get the plays from the guys right before we go on. We hit record and we jump on and get ready to go. Jay said, look, Sean, man, don't even come to me and ask me about this game because I don't watch the Wizards. I'm not interested in the Wizards. J Money, is that true? Do you have any comments on that matchup, that game, that first half spot? If not, all good. We move on.
Well, I like what AC's doing. We're going with the first half here. I still look at all the games. It's just that, like, I can't put any more. I just can't trust this team. But I like what he's doing because they can come out sometimes in the first half and show something. It's just like full game, like he said. They could. I've seen this team have a 15-point lead, and before you know it, they're down 20 points. So, but that's all about like the fourth quarter. Obviously, they don't really. It's not in their best interest to win games. But as far as the first half, they can definitely come out here with a little bit more juice. They do get Kuzma back in this one. Not the greatest of spots for the Kings with traveling across country, then playing back-to-back as well. Now, their players didn't have to play a ton of minutes, but it's just not the best of spots after you being home for a couple of weeks, and then you go East Coast, then playing a back-to-back as well. So, and they came out a little sluggish here tonight as well, playing versus the Raptors, and then they blew things open. So, but if I had one top player in this one, I'd look towards Malik Monk over his points. He didn't have a great game tonight, and he only played like 19 minutes. Some tells me that he gets up to the 25, 30-minute range in this one. He only played 19 minutes and had 17 points and only shot 1 of 7 from 3 as well. I don't see that happening in this game. I think Malik Monk goes for at least 20 points here.
Sixth man of the year.
Sixth man of the year. Currently the favorite. That was my preseason pick for the sixth man. Malik has been doing his thing. I will say this. This is a spot for one of those potential 20 board nights for Sabonis. The Kings are one of the best
For sure.
rebound teams in the league. He is the best rebounder in the league. And Washington, flat out, is a terrible rebounding squad. It just doesn't have the bodies down there and doesn't have the want to rebound as well. Keep an eye on that Domantas Sabonis number on the rebounds. But as I said, last 10 at home, 7-2-1. Washington Wizards have not been taken seriously by their opponents. I could see this being a super flat spot for the Kings. Hey, we just came back, bounced back, got the W. Now we got to travel to Washington. I can see that first couple frames being a little slow. Sometimes you got to go to the murky water. Sometimes you got to go on a limb. That's where the fruit is, and that is where our guy Albert Wynn, AC the Endless Capper, is going. All right, J Money is money. Lay in the wood with the Dallas Mavericks. Luka, Kyrie, and the boys have shown flashes of why we love the pairing as they gear up for the playoffs here. Talk to me about this spot laying the big number.
Yeah, so this is more of a bet against the Jazz. Obviously, the last time these two teams played, the Mavs got absolutely smoked in Utah. They lost 127-90. The Mavs were laying 4.5 points in that game and ended up losing by 37. That was the first day of the year. Like, the Mavs got out to a really horrible start to 2024. It was the first day of the year, January 1st, and they got smoked by 37 in Utah. Now they're catching the Jazz in their house. The Jazz are on a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights, and fifth game in 7 nights as well. So it's an absolute fatigue spot for the Mavs, for the Jazz in this one. Mavs have been playing a lot better, 6-1 against the spread and straight up in their last 7 games. It's a hefty number, but I do think things get out of hand in this one. I like the Mavs to possibly win this game by 20.
AC, I mean, if anybody is going to allow a bunch of buckets, it's the Utah Jazz. They're another team similarly to the Washington Wizards that have shown, well, not similar to Washington, as in the Jazz have actually shown stretches the last couple of years that they're a competent basketball team and can put a couple things together. But overall, they can't put it together for a full 82. Defensively, they've been poor the last couple of years, including this year. Any thoughts on your hometown Dallas Mavericks in this spot
Yeah,
laying a big number?
I'll be in the building tomorrow night, so I like that play. I think that Dallas has really turned a corner defensively. Jason Kidd, even though I'm not a big fan, he put Daniel Gafford in the starting lineup, and their defense is just better. I'm a big Derek Lively fan, but he's still only 20. He's still only a rookie. So him coming off the bench, playing 20, 25 minutes has actually been really good for that team. Truth is in the pudding. The under has hit now 4 of the last 5 games with the Dallas Mavericks. That never happens. I bet that has never happened in the last couple years with the under and the Dallas Mavericks. So not only do I lean that side with Jay, but I actually would like the Jazz team total under more than anything, especially if Markkanen is out, Jordan Clarkson potentially out. So that offense is really going to be stuck in mud against Dallas.
Yeah, as we record this right now, the Utah Jazz, or no, they closed up and took the L against the Oklahoma City Thunder, so they're on a back-to-back as well. This is a hefty number for Dallas, but there's only one way I could go. If I'm going to look at this game, it has to be Dallas. It has to be backing Luka and those guys. So I have no qualm there. Overall, I'm looking forward to these guys trying to keep pace in the West and seeing where they get slotted out, man. That the idea of the 4 teams in the West playing, being Dallas, Golden State, Phoenix, and the Lakers is very mouth watering. We'll see if one of those teams can push and get to the 6. But yeah, I not too much on this game, but yeah, if I had to go one way, I'm gonna always go with Dallas in this spot versus a team I know they can hang a big time number on. Let me ask you this, Jay, real quick, just to play a little devil's advocate. Any reason you didn't look at just purely the Mavs team total instead? Is it partly because of what AC said? They've been locking up a little bit on D and have shown they can play a little D when they want to?
It's a fade spot for me for the Jazz. 5th game in 7 nights. I'm rocking with the Mavs here, minus 13.5.
All right. Let's go to New Orleans. let's go to Orlando, who is playing the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm going to lay the money line, minus 120. Right before we hopped on and moved off the -1 to -1.5. It's already at 2 in some spots. So I'm going to take the money line on the Pels, minus 120. I mean, if you look at both of these teams, fellas, you cannot find a category against the spread that they have not been profitable all year. If you look at the Magic, I'll pull out some good ones. As a home favorite, 16-3 ATS with equal rest against some of the same teams when they're playing on the same rest plane, 28-6 ATS. As the home team, they're 23-9 ATS. All season, 46-23 ATS. After a loss, 18-10 ATS. And then if you look over to the Pelicans, it's a lot of the same. 39-28-1 ATS. That's number 3 in the NBA. After a loss, 17-8-1 ATS. As an away underdog, 10-5-1 ATS. So if you're looking at just those numbers there across the board, both teams have been some of the best in the NBA. But in this spot, the Pelicans are flat out a better team and a bad matchup for the Magic, in my opinion, since the All-Star break. Magic, 29th in the NBA in turnovers, while being 28th in the NBA in pace. They're averaging only 95 possessions a game post All-Star break, but still turning it over at almost the worst rate in the NBA. Then on the flip side, Pelicans, 8th in creating turnovers at 14.2 a game. Now, let's talk about the Magic as of late. They've been rolling 9-2 ATS the last 11 games. But listen to the games and the comp they've been playing. They've been beating up on the bottom dwellers in the NBA. Go back to February 24th. You feel me, Jay? Go back to February 24th.
Mm-hmm.
They beat up on Detroit the game after that. They lost to the Hawks. Then they beat up on the Nets, Utah, Detroit, Charlotte, Washington. Then they lost to the Knicks in the Garden. They scored 74 points. Then they played the Pacers. They lost that game. What do you know? They bounce back and get a W against Brooklyn. Then they get 2 wins in a row against Toronto and then a win against Charlotte. That's the last 12 games since February 24th for the Orlando Magic. Now, I know they've been playing well, playing D well. Paolo's been playing well. But those are the worst teams in the NBA. Now, on the flip, Pelicans, number 2 in the NBA since the All-Star break in net rating at 9.9 and have been playing way tougher competition. Biggest part of this cap, fellas, for me here is the Pelicans have someone for Paolo Banchero, and that is Herb Jones. In wins this year, Paolo is shooting 50.4%. True shooting is at 59.1%. In losses, it drops to 41.8% and then 50.9%. Herb Jones is going to give Paolo Banchero enough trouble where he's not going to be shooting 50.4% from the floor. I expect him to give him difficulty as the primary defender. Last couple points here. The Pelicans flat out have the best player on the floor in Zion, best shooters around him, and can play top level defense just like Orlando, the Orlando Magic can. So I really like the Pelicans in this spot. I think this is Orlando's been beating up on the worst teams in the league. Now they're going to see one of the best teams in the league, especially post All-Star break. I don't think they can keep up. Give me the Pelicans money line minus 120. J Money is money. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not going to be the one to talk you off. I lean the Pelicans here as well. There's only one point in this game that I don't like, and that's the fact that they have the Heat on deck the next night. So it is the front end of a back-to-back, but they should still. I mean, it's not like you can just overlook the Magic. This is the best point spread covering team so far this year, which I know the Pelicans aren't looking like that, but still the Magic aren't a pushover. They're 41-28. So I'm saying, so the Pelicans only got like a little bit better record than them. So they actually have a better record than the Heat. So you can't be looking past them to Miami, which we know that that's more of a like bigger name game or whatever. But still, Pelicans have been balling. I mean, you nailed it. The Magic hadn't really been beating anybody. Both teams are 8-2 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. Pelicans are a little bit further on. Like, we know the Magic have made a huge jump this year, but they're not like to that top level, like some way almost like breaking into the cream of the crop like the Pelicans are. This is a really deep team. I do think they got the better bench as well. They've been both coaches have did a hell of a job. I mean, Mosley probably a little bit better job, but the Magic aren't there yet. They're still a young team, whereas the Pelicans have plenty of weapons to throw at these guys. They have the much better offense, and like you said, they have multiple defenders that they can go at guys that Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs. This Pelicans team is really well balanced. balance. And I feel like the Magic, they lean more on their defense. They can get it done offensively, but they lean more on their defense. The Pelicans get it done multiple ways. So I heavily lean their way as well. I think the Pelicans come out here with a win. I agree with you here.
AC, any thoughts on the Pels going down to Orlando? I really like the spot overall.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of thoughts on this game. I love both teams. I think Orlando reminds me of like a young Detroit Pistons team like back in the mid 2000s. Like they slow the game down, they grind it out because they know they don't have the firepower to play against, the Warriors, the Celtics, teams like that. So they really put an emphasis on each possession, which I love. But that plays into the hands of New Orleans. Like New Orleans can play that style really well. If you look at their bench players, guys, they're all plus defenders. Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, Larry Nance. Like that's the five coming off the bench, in addition to your starters who all play defense already, right? So I mean, the Pelicans are built for that type. And then Jay hit it right on the spot. They're versatile. They could play that style. And then if they want to run and gun, shoot threes, they can do that as well with Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. So they can win in multiple ways. To Sean's point, Orlando Magic's strength of schedule is 30th in the NBA. So they're playing up now to their competition. And the fact that Orlando has won this matchup 8 out of the last 10 games, but now is an underdog, I think that's a really big tell right there. So good spot. Good job finding the Pelican spot.
Yeah. That's a good point, AC. I was going to mention it as well that the Pelicans have been getting owned by the Magic. They've lost 3 straight and 8 of the last 10 as well. So they got to look at this game and say, hold on, y'all been kicking our ass. It's our time to smack y'all boys up in this one. So that was a good point, AC.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I like the spot for the Pels. All right, to recap, J Money is on the Mavericks minus 13.5. He didn't want to hear shit I was talking about with that team total. Later 13.5. AC Wizards first half plus 5.5. You got to go to the murky water sometimes, and I'm going with the Pelicans minus 120 on the money line. For J Money is money. For AC, the analytics capper, I am your host, Sean Little. Don't forget it. We are presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Go download the Action Network app and go subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page, youtube.com/Action Network. Tons of videos, tons of content. And the Buckets Pod is on there on video as well. Until next time, I'll see you tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow we got a live Buckets. We're back at 11 p.m. Eastern time for the live Buckets. I will be on. I don't know who I will be on with yet, but I will be on there with someone from the Bucket Squad to break down to recap the night and give the best bets for the Friday NBA slate. Until next time, get buckets, baby. We'll see y'all.